welcome to my niece travel vlog. It's been a minute since I went to Nice, and now I'm kind of just like trying to recall everything that happened and all of that good jazz. But I wanted to do this vlog, a bit of sit down and a little bit of sharing some maybe pictures or content that I took while I was out there. So, and I wanted to also have this portion of the video essentially talk about my budget, because this is a personal finance channel and I try to share with you guys how I am managing my money. I'm not the best at it, we're still a very much work in progress, but I did want to share with you my budget, how much I actually spent, and all of that good jazz. So let us begin this video. Now, I always have a budget for all of my trips. Whether I cash flow them as I go or whether I save for them doesn't really matter too much. I mean, it does matter, but I always like to have a budget so I know if it's something like, for example, if I'm going away in 2 months, then I work out like what do I need and what can I cash flow and what can I save up in advance. That's what I try to do. I do have a girls trip in August and I have been saving up for that already using the 52 envelope savings challenge. I am hoping that will help me save 1,378, and that will be just spending money because where we're going is expensive. Okay, so yeah, but anyway, I do have my trusted notebook here because I write everything down, as you guys know, and I wrote down exactly where my money went when I was in Nice. So Nice, I want to say I went on a Tuesday. I was the final week of May. I went on a Tuesday and I came back Friday. So I landed Thursday night, but I did not get back home until like Friday. So my budget for this whole trip was £500, and I was able to come to this conclusion because my biggest expenditure would have been my flights, especially traveling just after the bank holiday. The tickets into Europe can be quite expensive during holidays, like bank holiday times and the summer. So I was quite fortunate that I didn't have to really worry too much about my flight, and this is because I was able to travel hack. For this, my main bank with Barclays does give me not only monthly Avios points but also an anniversary award, which I chose to be a flight upgrade, right? So I decided for the solo trip to Nice that I was going to use that voucher essentially, which meant that I did not have to spend a lot of money on my flights. So my flights ended up being just £25 to travel business class to Nice from London Gatwick. So I used the voucher and I used a couple of my Avios points, and what was left for me was only to pay £25, which was essentially just taxes. So flight was pretty cheap for me, which meant that my budget of £500 could actually stretch further. If I had to pay for my flight as well, my budget would have probably been about £750. The joys of traveling alone. Yay me. And I can't believe that it's been over 10 years since I started solo traveling. My first ever solo trip was, I wanted to say it was, I have two, but I don't know if they count. But the one that I recall was to South Korea to visit my best friend. So yeah, but it was 10 years ago now. Anyway, so my budget for the whole Nice trip was £500. Like I said, my flight was £25 because I travel hacked, and then my accommodation was about £170. I'll put the exact amount on the screen so that you guys can calculate along. So when I got to Nice, like I said, let me just start again because my mind is all over the place. Like I'm saying, I'm trying to recall. So my flight was on a Tuesday morning, like 6 a.m. in the morning, I believe that was when my flight was. So what I did was I had debated between driving to the airport and parking at the airport, taking the train to the airport, or driving my car to the nearest park and ride and then just taking the bus to the airport. I ended up going with the latter because after thinking about it, I knew I would just be too tired, and I always forget how much I get done when I just drive my car to the park and ride and then take the bus. I get a lot of stuff done. Sometimes it's just I don't do anything. I'll just catch up on some dramas. But I was like, no, I am going to just take a bus to the airport. So I drove my car to Thornhill Park and Ride, left my car there, got the bus to the airport. So the bus cost me, I want to say, the bus was £48. 45 pounds, sorry, because it was to Gatwick. It would have been a little bit cheaper if I was going to Heathrow. So that was £45 for the return, and then I also paid for parking at the park and ride, and that was £12.90, and then obviously got on my flight, which was £25. And prior to that, I'd also bought an eSIM. I use Air Allo. I'll put my referral link in the description of this video in case you're interested. I use Air Allo all the time. I have used it practically every single trip for the last year and a half, and I have no intention of stopping. Like, I love it for me. So Air Allo cost me for the eSIM £7.10, and so got on the flight because it was a business seat on the flight with BA British Airways. I was able to get a meal on the plane and alcohol as well. So I got my meal. I didn't have to really buy stuff at the airport or anything like that, but I did pick up a couple of items at the airport. I picked up some pads and panty liners because Mother Nature decided to do a little bit of a surprise for me. So yeah, that was great. So that cost me about £5.82 because I wasn't planning on buying anything, but I had to. So yeah, anyway, so I got into Nice, I want to say just after midday, and my plan was to drop off my suitcase at the Airbnb, well, the hotel, the boutique hotel that I booked, and then go explore or what have you. I was so lucky that where I stayed, they allowed me to keep my luggage for free, but two, they were able to actually get my room ready. The people were in my room before, checked out earlier because they had an early flight. So they told me, come back in an hour, we'll have the room ready for you. And I was like, super. Now, mind you, I got up from my house at 2 a.m., got a 3 a.m. bus to get to the airport. No, did I get a 3 a.m. bus? No, I got a 2 a.m. bus. Yeah, I think 1:45, 2 a.m. is the time that I got, and I didn't get into the airport until 3 a.m. My flight was at 6. I know it's a bit crazy, but during those times, I'd rather be at the airport than starting to stress about public transport. And I was also accounted for traffic and what have you. Anyway, so got to the airport around 3 a.m. 3 a.m. Yeah, 3 a.m. into 4 a.m. and then my flight 6. And at the time when I was at the airport, none of the airport lounges were open, so I did get some Starbucks. I think, did I go to Starbucks or Costa? One of them. I did get a coffee and some porridge, I believe. Yeah. But I'm not including these individual because I'll just share with you what my overall food budget ended up being. But yeah, so I got a coffee to keep me awake, and then everything else I ate the food on the plane, like I said. And then when I got to my hotel, I left my bag and I went straight to the first restaurant that I could see. I think it was called Pinocchio. Yeah, I think that was what it was called. I will insert some pictures here, but I went into Nice, got me some really good food. I had my sangria as well. I was the restaurant I got was literally facing the beach. It wasn't on the beach, but it was across from the beach, and it was great. I think I stayed there for I want to say 2.5 hours, just enjoying the food. I was reading. It was really great. The atmosphere was great. There were so many tourists, which I love for me, but the weather was even more incredible. I loved that. I had so much fun, you guys. So I did that, and then afterwards I decided to go back to the hotel, and I checked in, showered. I was knocked out. I forgot that I had gotten up from my own bed like midnight, 1 o'clock, and so I didn't really get much time to rest. I didn't sleep on the bus because I don't really sleep on the bus, I don't think. It's rare for me. I think the only time I remember like sleeping on the bus was when I took the bus from London, Victoria to Amsterdam. That was like a whole night bus. That one I believe I slept. Not all of it, but majority of it. So I didn't sleep on this one. So I was zonked out, and the heat in Nice was just crazy. I just love the south of France for me. It was absolutely crazy. But yeah, so I zonked out. Then I got up like 7 p.m. 7 p.m., 8 p.m. So I decided just to go walk along the promenade and just enjoy the weather and just get a little bit dose of last bit of vitamin D before I went back to the hotel. Before I went back to the hotel, I did go to a shop and picked up a couple of bits because I wasn't feeling hungry at all. So I just picked up a couple of snacks and went back to my hotel. The next day, I want to say, let me just get my laptop, because the next day I googled where to have like the best brunch ever, because I decided, I had discussed with my therapist on the Monday before I traveled that I was going to use this trip to just relax and do absolutely nothing. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be rushing. I did get up at 5 a.m., which is my usual. It doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Saturday or I'm on holiday or I'm working. I always get up at 5 a.m. What I do next differs. Sometimes I will read, I will vlog, I will edit, I will do nothing. This is what I did in Nice. I literally did absolutely nothing. I looked at all my expenditures from the previous day, entered it into my tracker. I got out my books, I read, I replied to some comments on my videos. Like, I literally did all of that in the morning, and then around 10-11 I decided to shower, get out of the hotel, and I found this place. Oh, somebody's calling me. I found this really cute place. I'll put the name in the video. And I had, oh my god, the food was out of this world. Like, you guys, I could not believe it. This was, I think it all cost me about, I want to say 18 euros. I literally could not believe it. Like, I was like, what is going on? I don't know why people want to call me right now, like I'm so busy. But anyway, but I had so much. It was a croissant with avocado and egg, and then it came with the dessert, which was top notch, and then it came also with orange juice and a coffee. That all was 18 euros. Yes, a bit expensive, but it was so worth it. It was absolutely worth it. Then after I finished, I decided to walk around town, just did a little bit of walking. And then after I walked around, I was like, you know what, this was great, but I'm going to the beach. And I spent the rest of the day, and when I say the rest of the day, I mean the rest of the day on the beach. So much that I actually even ended up missing a meal. I ended up like forgetting to order because I slept. I talked to people. There was a guy I was sitting next to on the plane. I met him at that place, which was like out of the blue for me. But anyway, I chatted with other people, but then I spent just on the sound lounger between reading, having a drink, and sleeping. Like, that's all I did. And also reflecting and writing on my phone everything that I wanted to discuss with my therapist and all of that good jazz. But it was such a good day. I had so much fun. And then afterwards I went back to my room. I don't know what, I think I bought some food, but I can't remember what it was. I don't really remember what I ate, but I went back to my hotel after I picked up some food. And yeah, that was Wednesday. Yes, that was Wednesday. Then Thursday, I decided, because, oh no, I remember. I had, on Thursday, because I was flying back on Thursday, I had octopus for lunch on Wednesday. I will insert a picture if I haven't already. Yeah, so I had octopus for lunch. But anyway, on Thursday, because my flight was in the evening, I decided to, my goodness, like I'm so popular right now. I decided to go back and literally like explore the town, the Old Town specifically, because I've been to Nice before years ago, and I decided this time around I wasn't going to be doing too much in terms of touristy things. So I went around town, I went back to the beach, I chilled, and just had the best time ever. But saying that, I when I wrote down like all of the numbers, I was surprised to find that for food I had spent 170 pounds on food. This was more than my hotel. I'm not surprised because I enjoy good food. Okay, so I was just like, okay, this was a little bit expensive, but yeah, that's how much I spent on food. For activities, I didn't really do much when it comes to activities. I only hired a sunbed, so I put that. I was 30 pounds, 31 pounds, 10 for that, and then I also paid for transportation. Okay, so coming into Nice from the airport to the Airbnb, I took the local bus. I didn't know how to work the machine, so I ended up paying €7 instead of, I think it was meant to be like €3 for the trip that I did. But anyway, and then when leaving, I just took an Uber because I didn't want to fast, to be honest. I could have if I wanted to, but I chose not to. So for transport, it cost me £16.81 in total. And then I had to pay for taxes as well. So I had already paid for my hotel prior to going, but the only thing that wasn't included was local taxes. So that was £3.84 that I ended up paying, and I think that was it. Yeah, I don't think there was anything else that left. So after I took the Uber back to the airport, I chilled in the lounge for, I think my flight was I think it was like 5 or 6 p.m. But for work, I had a mandatory 2-hour call that I had to attend. So I needed to be somewhere where I could get consistent Wi-Fi and just like chill without much disruption. So I chose to sit in the airport lounge and I worked from there. I didn't want to work, but this mandatory training made it impossible for me not to. But what I ended up doing is just taking back that time another day, because the Friday I had taken it off. So, I didn't fuss about that because I knew Friday was off anyway. So I ended up taking back the time another day. But then I left Nice. Beautiful flight. It wasn't too long. I enjoyed myself. I had some alcohol to enjoy and got back into London. The weather wasn't too bad. Took the bus, so I already had the ticket, so I didn't have to buy a new ticket. Took the bus and when I did, like I said, I didn't get back home until like midnight. Oh wait, oh my gosh, I hope this whole thing was recorded, because I just realized all these people that have been trying to call me, it may have cut. Oh, I'll be so annoyed. I hope it hasn't, but I'll be so annoyed if it has. Let's see.